Hey, morning, guys. What I wanted to do is just do a quick little recording on leading a person by means of skillful use of questions to find out a little bit more information about the person, so you can make a decision and a much more informed decision on how to interact with that person based on who you're really speaking to. And most of us at some stage would have seen the very old Tom Hopkins card trick where Tom, and Google it if you haven't seen it, or YouTube it if you haven't seen it, and that is where Tom gets a deck of cards and he gets a person to select the card of his choice by some very, very simple questions. And those questions Tom knows every time, no matter what the answer that person gives them, he knows what's the next question he's going to ask. And the ultimate destination is purely and 100% controlled by Tom being the questioner. We're faced with the same situation when we're speaking to anyone that inquires on a property to potentially purchase that property. And that is, we're faced with either just simply answering their questions, bang, bam, bam, and providing them a time when they can inspect the property and to their convenience. Alternatively, we can, by some skillful use of questions and no pressure on them, we can have them willing participants in them passing on information to us so that we actually understand what they're looking for, why they're looking for it, what the time frame in looking for it, the budget, and any other associated transaction that may need to take place for them to make that possible to happen, i.e. the sale of their current home. But the natural real estate agent goes into service mode thinking, they want to know about just the property I've got for sale. Yes, absolutely they want to know about the property you've got for sale. But is that more important to them than the property that they may need to sell? Absolutely not. But it might be the focus of their discussion at that point, but it's not necessarily more important long term. So it's really important you get a grasp on the ability to ask questions and have these questions in your head so you know how to ask them in a non-confrontational manner, so that the person that rings you for an inquiry on a general property ends up giving you all the information regarding their current situation. So I'm going to give you a bit of an example. I have to be a bit of both participants here because there is no other person in this role play. So the phone rings, excuse me, sorry about that. The phone rings and the lady's on the phone, and let's say her name's Jenny. And Jenny rings up and she's inquiring about a property I've got for sale. And for argument's sake, I'm going to pick a property that may be out of area a little bit, just to throw a little bit into that mix, because potentially helps with the story a bit. So Jenny rings up about a property I've got for sale in the suburb. It's, let's say it's West Wallsend, and it might be a little bit of rural property. So Jenny rings up, ring. Hello, Darren speaking. Now I'm Jenny. Jenny says, Darren, I'm just ringing up about the property you've got for sale. It's the one out at West Wallsend. And then I will naturally say, hello Jenny, how are you? Good, thank you. Jenny, thanks for your inquiry. I appreciate you giving me a call on the property. Can I ask you, Jenny, did you drive past it and see the property? Now, I have two answers that I could potentially get from that. She could say, no, I've seen it on the web, which is 99% of the chance, or she says, no, I've driven past it. If she says if she's driven past it, I'm going to say, terrific, do you live in West Wallsend? So I'm going to go down that path and I'll explore that. But let's say we're going to deal on the 99% chance of her ringing up and saying, no, she's seen it on the web. I say, terrific, which website did you see it on, Jenny? She says, I've seen it on domain.com. Okay, terrific. And so from what you've seen, it looks like the sort of home you're after, is it? And she'll say, yeah, look, it seems like it's big enough for us. The price seems a little expensive, but I think it's probably worth at least definitely having a look. So I will say to Jenny, terrific, Jenny, no worries at all. What I'll need to do is I need to touch base with my owners and just to sort out a convenient time when the house is available for you to view it, and also when it can suit yourself. Did you want to come through on your own, or did you want to bring your partner too, Jenny? And do you have kids that you wanted to bring out as well? Because I think sometimes buying a home is a family decision. It's certainly not just one person choosing. She'll say, no, look, I'd like my husband to come out too, and he works weeks. He's a very busy man, and it'd have to be on a weekend. It wouldn't be before 12 o'clock because we've got sports in the morning. So terrific, no worries. Well, look, I'll take all that into consideration. Jenny, just to give me an idea of where you the sort of time frames, if I get some short notice from the owners, how far away will you be driving from? Where's home at the moment? Jesus, home's actually in New Lambton. Okay, terrific, all right. So that's about, we'll allow 35 minutes for that. Okay, terrific. I'll speak to the owners. Jenny, New Lambton's a good suburb. And just on another note, New Lambton is probably one of my favourite suburbs, and I'll get inquiries constantly on people wanting to buy in there. Why the change from New Lambton to West Wallsend? Because that's a very, very big change. Yeah. And Jenny will say, look, the New Lambton home was going to be our last home. It's been great, but what's happened is the neighbours next door, they've knocked the house down. They've put this big extension. It overshadows our home. We actually don't like them much either. They have lots of people around. We're ready for some privacy. We're ready for some land. We would have been fine if the house didn't get built next door, but it's time to change. As soon as we find the right home, we'll be getting this one on the market. We did get a DA in for an extension. I think that's not going to happen. My husband would probably like to, because it's his sort of overall design. He spent a lot of time in designing it. We spent some money on the DA too. But the fact still remains is this house is never going to go away behind us. They beat us to the punch. I think it's time for us to go, and I'm trying to convince him to buy me some land for the kids and that too. So I will now, back on the agent, I've been given so much information that I know about Jenny. I've been given gold. I know why she wants to move. I know where she's from. I know who I guess is in charge. I know that there's an emotional decision about buying the next home. I know hubby's got some emotional time sort of trapped up in the house. I know hubby also busy at work and has to come out on weekends. So my job now is simply to get Jenny and her husband through the other property, ensure that my relationship that I build is on a professional level. I continue to do that throughout all the transaction or all the time I spent with them, and have an opportunity to view their home. Now I generally use a pressure permission situation, a close right now, and what I say to Jenny is, Jenny, let's concentrate on getting you guys through the property out at West Wallsend. So maybe if we could pencil in at 2 o'clock time this weekend, and then I'll go to the owners, and if that's okay, we can just confirm that. And I'll find that's probably the best way to do this. Does that sound fair? And she'll say, oh, that'd be terrific, Darren. Thank you for that. Now, also, it's possibly a good idea that maybe at some stage, if you wanted me to, certainly cast an eye over in New Lambton, give you a bit of an idea of where it's sitting in the market, so you've got some changeover cost idea of what you're liable to achieve at New Lambton, also so you can see the difference between New Lambton and your, I guess, upgrade to West Wallsend. Does that sort of sound fair? And she goes, yeah, look, absolutely. I'd love you to come over and have a look. In fact, we had tried to get an agent over last week, but he had to cancel the appointment, and he's not called us back. And so we're keen to understand where we sit. We did buy it 10 years ago. Then we think it's about a 450 home, but I have seen some other sales at higher prices. So I'd love you to be able to have a look at that. So, okay, well, maybe even do this if you want to pencil in, and maybe after viewing the property out at West Wallsend we could do that, or we could just do one afternoon after work, because Saturday might get a bit full. But let's talk about that later. Let's not worry about that right now. Let's see if I can get you to West Wallsend at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Does that sound good, Jenny? Jenny, I say thank you very much, Darren. I really appreciate that. That's great. Hang up, clunk. Now, Jenny is someone that's going to sell a home, and she's an A grade in my mind prospect. And so I need to make sure that I treat her with kid gloves and ensure that the relationship and the conversation is really, really schmick. She'll go into my mobile phone. She's in there now. I'll save her as Jenny and the property she's inquired on, so I remember it. Jenny, when she rings next time, I see Jenny's number come up in my phone and say, "G'day, Jenny, how you going?" Great, relationship's better. I'll send Jenny a text after speaking to the owner of West Wallsend. Not to confirm the appointment, I'm going to send Jenny a text to say that I've left a message to get hold of my owner on West Wallsend, and I'll be back in touch with her shortly to confirm the appointment. All this is designed to improve the quality of the relationship I'm having with the person that's just discussed. She's interacting with tons and tons of agents because she's putting it out there that she's looking. But I need to stand out on a higher level than anyone else. If I do this with every person I have an interaction with in a given month, it gives me roughly 10 to 20 more listing opportunities in a month. and I've got to go through the process of getting in the door. Now, certainly, I might miss out on some of those opportunities because they may even have an agent of choice already that's already listed the property, or potentially the last one that sold them and they're committed to them. But it gives me more opportunities, and this job is only about opportunities. The more opportunities you have, the more likelihood you're going to list the property, and the more listings you have, then certainly the more properties you will sell at the end of your year. So think about that. Play this one back to yourself a couple of times. It's really simple. You need to have a series of questions that lead that person, regardless of their answer, to that final destination. And the final destination is telling you why they're moving from their current home and where their current home is. So as long as you know that final destination is why they're moving and where they currently live, then you can structure questions all the way to lead up to that. Just as the Tom Hopkins, when he pulled out the 2 of clubs, he knew he had to ask questions that would get him to the 2 of clubs. If he didn't know what that 2 of clubs was, his questions would be no good and they wouldn't make any sense. Guys, have a play around with this one. It is gold. It works. It'll make you money straight away. I can't overstate how valuable it is, and I can't also explain how much it's missed by most guys, because most guys that answer the phone or answer an email inquiry are worried about the property that the person's inquired about, and certainly that's important, but it's not as important to that person that you're calling about after you've hung up the phone, because their current sale of their home is paramount in their mind. Try it, give me some feedback, love to know how it goes. Thanks, boys.